talk about the areas of focus around the cellular opportunities within the healthcare industry, really about how connectivity is really changing this industry. Talk a bit about the wireless ecosystem. I'm sure Wayne's probably going to talk on this as well, as you heard a lot from SmartSync, and then really kind of think about what I want you all to take out of this is think about your own industries, how connectivity is transforming your industry or potentially creating new business models or optimizing existing business models. That's really where the opportunity in the end is. And then I'll close on really kind of giving you a brief overview on our advanced machine-to-machine platform. Enphase. So Enphase is a joint venture organization. It's 50% owned by Qualcomm, which is one of the leading wireless chipset providers in the world. Obviously, a big member of this organization, and Verizon Wireless. And we were formed in 2009, really in an effort to reduce the total cost of ownership for M2M for Verizon Wireless's customers and customers within Vodafone, which was an announcement made soon after that to create a global, seamless service delivery architecture for machine-to-machine deployments around the world. So areas of focus for M2M in the healthcare space are really across the chasm of this area, and really it's about connectivity. And cellular, as you know, plays a big part of connectivity, looking at the evolution of wireless. But you think about urgent care, right? So today, really monitoring those points of interest, like pulmonary, oxygen level, blood pressure, those types of things, in some type of an urgent care facility. As we're starting to see now, healthcare facilities are changing shape. They're not always, the typical traditional hospital or practice office. It's actually becoming remote places, potentially even homes. Chronic care, the aging population, the ability to incorporate things like identity. Who is this person? Think particularly things about hydration levels. Are they being hydrated effectively, adequately? Also things about man down. The eye falling and can't get up kind of scenarios. Ability to monitor really how well somebody's doing. My grandmother was in an assisted living facility. I would love to be able to monitor her attributes of her mobility throughout the day to know that I feel good that she's in a good facility. Those types of things. There's a lot of opportunity. Occupational is a fast-growing area as well. Think about monitoring the environmental conditions that one of your employees is working in. Whether that's a public safety person or one of your own employees that may be a lone worker, if you will, or working in a hazardous situation. Think what's happening right now in Japan. People are working in pretty tough conditions. If you could actually monitor the conditions they are working in and possibly dispatch them out of there if conditions were poor. Fitness, really, I'll talk a bit about in a minute, but really this is probably one of the fastest growing segments in connectivity in the healthcare space, really kind of focused at the consumer, but kind of gets potentially into that insurance component of healthcare as well. Really, healthy people becoming healthier. And therapy, really this is about drug delivery, efficacy, different components around therapy. Therapy doesn't typically have to be at the healthcare facility. It actually can be, while I'm standing here, I could be getting some type of therapy real time. And then diagnosis, really understanding, if you look at areas like diabetes, those types of things, to be able to diagnose remotely. And then really from a wireless perspective, in particular wide area wireless, these are really some of the big opportunities. When you think about things like, very expensive healthcare equipment, these are, very, very expensive assets. They're typically in some type of healthcare facility that need to be connected to an IP network. Well, and typically these are managed by the provider, the equipment provider. In order to connect them, you have to connect to the healthcare facilities network, go through their IT policies. Not always the easiest thing to do. Can be quite tough, quite complicated, sometimes prohibitive. You're also at the mercy of their IT department taking control of your connection. So there's a huge opportunity to eliminate truck rolls. Things like to go out and do a basic maintenance call on a piece of equipment. Maybe it's to read the meter of how much it's being used. Maybe it's to do a simple diagnostic test, or possibly it's just to even make sure it's still where it's supposed to be. Is a huge opportunity for cellular connectivity. Home health. This is probably one of the quickest areas around equipment. When you think about home health equipment, it's been used for quite some time for monitoring patients, but traditionally it's used plain old telephone service, POTS lines. What's happening with POTS lines? They're going away. People are turning them off. They're going strictly to cellular, or they're going to VoIP services. There's a huge opportunity here to connect these types of services or embed cellular connectivity for management in diagnostics, calibration, those types of things. Mobile health, once again, this is really about, like I said, treatment, mobile treatment or portable treatment. This is healthcare treatment outside of the healthcare facility. A lot of opportunity here. Looking at the Medtronics of the world, the St. Jude's of the world, the Boston Scientifics of the world, people that embed medical devices in the human body that need to be monitored, frequently, and then have analytics run against that data is very important in an emerging part of this business. And then finally, fitness and wellness. I personally believe, once again, not a healthcare expert, that the fitness and wellness will drive the ecosystem quite quick for the fact that there's a huge demographic of social networking opportunities here, people to share what they're doing to become healthier. I think people are typically more willing to share that information than share information about them not being well. So, for example, for those of you that might use social networking, I'm a pretty avid snow skier, and I have my friends. We record via devices how many vertical feet we ski, and how many calories we burn within a given day. And we share that and we socialize that. I can see this with the younger generation being an emerging space, which will drive the ecosystem of devices and awareness about what connectivity can do to the health industry. So, really looking at the ecosystem here, it's really not even much different than other applications. For example, smart grid. Definitely have an ecosystem of wireless chipsets, the Qualcomms of the world, modules. Now, in healthcare, just like in utilities, you have purpose-built devices. These are non-traditional cellular devices. It might be something as simple as a lanyard that is hardened and ruggedized, that can monitor and read an implanted pulmonary device, potentially a pacemaker, what have you, that's purposely built for that application. And then you have to the right, you have the application services and the service delivery management platforms. And I'll talk about that here. This is regarding to Enphase. So you think about a company like a Medtronic or a St. Jude or a Boston Scientific that's manufacturing and supporting hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of devices that are connected to their patients. Think about that from an IT management perspective. Moves, adds, and changes. Managing the connectivity on a daily basis can be overwhelming. So really, essentially what we have here is a web-enabled management platform that allows customers to manage their connected devices just like they would manage any other asset in their IT infrastructure, traditionally using web services type platforms. To the right, device performance services. This is a growing area of opportunity for the fact that the ability to do first-level troubleshooting. Is it a device problem or is it a network problem? Without having to call the operator or wait for the operator to tell me their network is having a problem. There's the opportunity here for those APIs to actually talk to an application. An application may only want to operate in certain network-type conditions. For example, if this is a home health monitoring device that's being installed on the 30th floor of a high-rise in Manhattan, where the signal strength is really high, the installer, they drop it off, maybe monitor the signal strength, but guess what? The interference is so bad, it won't operate efficiently. They didn't have the ability to monitor that. The application could say, don't run, because the conditions aren't optimal for the application. And then finally, application services. This is the ability to help end-to-end application developers regarding the vertical industry to develop applications with some protocol abstraction. What I mean by that is, in the communications industry, there are a lot of different types of protocols used. For example, in the industrial sector, there's a protocol called Modbus, which is used for monitoring sensors, and they use logic controllers, all kinds of technical things. But it's a pretty unique protocol, and not all developers know how to write to that protocol. So essentially, we have a development kit that allows developers to write at an XML web services level and actually code to a Modbus protocol, quite simply. So what we've done is we've normalized that protocol and made it easier for the development community to create custom applications to do things like sensor networks, The sensor could be a body area sensor monitoring my heart rate, my